the stream. My name is Lee. They, them-ish vibes today. She or he is fine. Let's remember I'm not a woman. What else? I'm eating on stream. I know it's uncouth, but I'm hungry. So, if you really hate it, you're not gonna like my streams. It's a whole thing. And, what else? Okay. Those of you who know my stream particularly well will know that I am not particularly more organized today than I usually am, so we're doing a little bit of pre-warm-up. In the meantime, so I usually Thirsty Sword Lesbian. Well, Friday's kind of generally a free day. We do whatever. If any of you have any suggestions, stuff you'd really like to see, in the meantime, I think we're gonna start with Thirsty Sword Lesbians. That's what we're gonna do. I've declared it. Why? Because Thirsty Sword Lesbians is awesome. I dare any of you to tell me we're wrong on this. We're gonna work with Haven, I think, maybe? Ooh, Valifrey's doing a fun thing. This one. In the meantime, we're gonna start with this. I might also need to work on the Hardby version because I have that coming up. But for now, let's do that. Yeah, and then we'll, yeah. So we'll do that. And actually, no, we're not going to do this. We're going to do, boom, we're going to do that. It's a little, I don't know if you can, might not be able to tell, but it's a little bit better suited, maybe? It's, okay. Anyway, my point on all of that was eat a bite of waffle and have a little liquid. It's just juice. And we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna go to, where are we gonna go? Well, yes, our plan was go here. The box. We got. Oh yes, our plan is to go to my own and do the thing. So I have as you know, Friday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. It is 1:42, so we're kind of on schedule. We're a little lagging behind, but I'm not exactly the most punctual of people. But I'm getting there. We are live with Thirsty Sword Lesbians. Okay, cool. So we're vibing. I'm gonna see if I can snag creep. Well. Beautiful. Okay. So, I think that's enough for today. Oh, wow, we have 2 viewers. Welcome, welcome. I'm Lee. Hopefully, you want to come hang. Say hi in the chat. I highly encourage it, although you're welcome to lurk. I think I have a, hang on. I'm going to test a thing very quickly. Beautiful. Yes. Anna B. Meyer is awesome. We're not using her maps today, but she's my go-to for certain maps of maps of Greyhawk. So I generally have a shout out for her for when that's going on, and Uh, just wanted to test that my Streamlabs were working. Alright, so with those working, and all of that on point, we're going to go into the world building section of this. I know some of you are big on, let's see. We were kind of going through the setting guides, and, okay, Haven happened. Well, let's see what else we got besides Haven, because we got some fun ones here. And it's Friday, so we're just going to vibe, hang out. If any of you want to do Blancoloni instead, or, you know, if any of the settings look particularly interesting and want me to skip to some of them, feel free to say so. Otherwise, yeah, let me... Okay. Okay, no more food. Well, no more waffles. I finished them. So we can... Yes, the galaxy. First, okay, just look at that ass. Alright, sorry. I'm admiring a gorgeous woman who is... probably doesn't even... Yeah, okay. Countless Morelda. Oh, yes. Bicross commands the ISS Insatiable, part of her Imperial Void Legion's... sorry. Her Imperial Void Legion... Of the Imperial Void Legion Expeditionary Force. Okay, I feel like that's just one of them being butthurt. She's not actually sympathetic. Yes. Techno Witch. Crossed vast distances, and what kind of shenanigans you get into during that. Lesbians Coffee House. Ooh, Dominique Dickey. Who's... Oh, do they sub? Yeah, check something. No, only for this one. Alright, well, let's... Alright, I want to read about Lesbian Coffee House, because it sounds cool. In a coffee shop on the border between two worlds, sword lesbians sip hot beverages, fight gentrification, and guard the precious Foxhole Woods from deadly society incursions. Lesbians Coffee House balances high fantasy sensibility with stories set in the metropolis of your choice, with a focus on celebrating the magic of cozy queer love. Okay. The PCs are charged by, are changed by the magical energy of Foxhole Woods, an energy that brings them with, that they bring with them to all of their interactions. Maybe the magic is visible, a haze of glitter at the edge of your vision. Maybe the magic has a smell, an aroma of pine forest perfuming the city. Maybe the magic is edible in Lesbian's Coffee House perfectly brewed drinks. Look for opportunities to inject magic into unlikely scenarios as a mundane world is touched by a fantastical one. The PCs have access to two worlds. That's twice as many people to flirt with. Find romance with people outside of your home community through coffee shop meet cutes with denizens of the Foxhole Woods or the bustling city. Who can you introduce to the magic of the Foxhole Woods? Who can you introduce to the beautiful mundanity of your metropolis? Lesbian Coffee House and the Foxhole Woods are both havens in danger of falling to... Oh. These spaces are vital to the communities they serve, and those to lose them would be devastating. It's true. Having places like gay bars and stuff set up is incredibly important to have that space to meet and mingle. Setup. Existing metropolis of the GM's choice and Utopian Foxhole Woods. Foxhole or the metropolis can be the player's home community. Players can be baristas and co-owners of lesbians or customers with an emotional stake of the business's success. In the Foxhole Woods, the very air is laden with magic. This magic reveals people as their true selves with all their beautiful glory. Crossing the threshold from lesbians to the woods entails a magical girl-style transformation into the most badass and sparkly version of yourself. Foxhole Woods are governed by the wise Queen Eustace, a bachelorette looking for a match, and her teenage daughter Arabella. Eustace and Arbella live in a castle built on into a large pine tree overlooking the woods. Kelly Falls, a chain of waterfalls where the fertile ground grows many enchanted plants. Mariella's Tavern, an alehouse where wicked adventures begin. It's interesting. So they have the coffee house on the border, and then you have the tavern inside. And then the Dueling Cave, an underground cavern where official conflicts are resolved through combat. Ooh, okay. I like this. Now, Lesbians has drawn an unusual number of Syssat customers lately due to the rumors spreading throughout towns of the drink's magical effects. Although the business is booming, land developer Mabel York has her eye on the property. Oh, with the full backing of the mostly white city council. In the mundane world, people in power follow rumors of magical places seeking to exploit the magic. Your average citizen is unaware of this conflict and perhaps unaware of the existence of magic altogether. In the real world, gentrification is a racialized process in which people of color are priced out of areas that historically belong to them. Yeah, we know how gentrification works. Exploring the racial dimension of gentrification at your own gaming table is optional. If you choose to do so, pay attention to how you assign racial descriptors to NPCs such as Mabel York and the members of the city council. Will Lesbian's Coffee House be priced out of their property? Will Syssat customers discover the entrance to Foxhill Woods? Will Queen Eustace find true love? Play it out. Campaigns. So one is the PCs are native Foxhill Woods, crossing back and forth between the magical and mundane worlds at will. At point, the door between the worlds is in danger of discovery by denizens of Metropolis, and the PCs have been tasked with keeping the magical of the Foxhill Woods from becoming known to Syssats. That's interesting. Princess Arbella has made illicit outing in the mundane world to rendezvous with her secret crush. Can you find her and return her home without wrecking her budding romance? Can you prevent her from spilling the truth about Foxhill Woods to the wrong parties? Queen Eustace has tasked you with developing a new magical drink that convinces us there's nothing extraordinary about the Lesbians' Coffee House. Oh, like a glamour drink. That's interesting. Inventing such drink requires rare ingredients from throughout the Foxhill Woods, as well as a few special flavors from the mundane world. Can you find all the necessary ingredients before any of the sisters find their way into Foxhill Woods? And make sure... Well, this is an interesting question. Members of the City Council have discovered the Foxhill Woods and want to harness the magic to use toward their own political ends. Can you prevent them from harming the Foxhill Woods through a combination of flirtation, negotiation, and sword wielding? I'm gonna have to style... Ooh. Pieces of baristas at the collectively owned Lesbians Coffee House and maybe natives to Metropolis or the Foxhill Woods. After hours, the PCs are responsible for hosting a series of meetups for the local gay community. Their speed dating events are always a hit, though they rarely go according to plan. Eustace plans to venture into the mundane world to try her hand at finding love. She's been unlucky in love before and has a series of specifications that her new partner must meet. Could the PC set her up with the perfect bride? So that they're crashing your speed dating night, determined to enjoy magical beverages of lesbians and fall in love with each other. Can you show them enough magic to awaken any... Okay. That's... Real estate developer Mabel York has gotten wind of magic behind the Lesbian Coffee House and is working toward buying the property, which would endanger the door between the worlds. Can you convince her to back off before the sale is made? Alright. Let's see what we got. Queen Eustace. The wise, steadfast, and single ruler of the Foxhill Woods. She leads her domain from a modest castle built inside a large pine tree. She's not easily flustered and is notoriously difficult to flirt with. Past romances have left her particular about who she trusts with her wit and her heart, though she's ready to seek love again. Her top priorities are protecting Foxhill Woods and keeping her daughter safe. Although she may be queen, she's not above fighting her own battles with her words or her broadsword. If she counts on you with her domain or her daughters, you'd better not let her down. Princess Arbella, also she, her. Queen Eustace's teenage daughter and budding protector of the Foxhill Woods, she's perhaps even pickier than her mother, and anyone who seeks to romance the queen must meet Arbella's approval. Arbella is fiercely curious about the mundane world beyond Foxhill Woods. Although she's forbidden from visiting the Metropolis, she frequently sneaks out to seek romantic adventures of her own. Carter. Queen Eustace's bodyguard. She would do anything to further her queen's interests, whether that means fighting invading Sussex with her quarterstaff or serving as a wingwoman. She tries to keep her relationship with Queen Eustace pearly professional, but can't hide her crush on the magnetic monarch. Ooh, bodyguard crush. Okay. Mabel York, a real estate developer in the metropolis with her eye on Lesbian's Coffee House, their next converted property. She's known for buying up local businesses and turning the properties into a string of identical apartment buildings, with rent far too expensive for any residents in the area. She has most of a city council in her pocket, funding their campaigns in exchange for leniency when it comes to zoning laws. Although she enjoys the drinks at Lesbian's, she would be even happier turning the block into an upscale apartment building than she is sitting in the window booth sipping a cappuccino. Dang. Brandy Ryan, city council president. She has a big gay crush on... Oh! Angst. Probably doesn't know... Oh, she probably doesn't even know she's gay. Okay. She loves the vibes at Lesbian Coffee House and generally feels accepted in the space, but totally supports Mabel's agenda to buy the property. If she could witness the magic of Foxhole Woods, something might awaken within her. Okay. Chloe de Villa, they them. Princess Arabella's secret love interest. A freshman at the nearby university, they frequent Lesbian's Coffee House for marathon, caffeine-fueled study sessions. They know that Arabella's mother would never approve of them as a match for the princess and are content to keep their love under wraps, confined to surreptitious dates at Lesbian's Coffee House. A handful of random names in case you want to use them. When a PC consumes a drink from Lesbian's Coffee House, that player gets to narrate how the magic of that drink impacts them. When an NPC consumes a magical drink, the GM narrates how the drink affects them. When you brew or buy a drink for PC who is smitten with you, the object of your affection takes +1 forward. Ooh, so if you give someone drink to someone you love. When you consume a drink that requires a rare and hard to obtain ingredient, take +1 forward. So you get just extra nice little bonus boons from drinking these magic drinks, which is kind of cool. I am, on the other hand, yes, gentrification is a problem. And yes, this is a thing. And it is an interesting kind of trying to keep the two worlds separate is certainly a thing. And the invasion and destruction of queer spaces is not necessarily a unheard of thing. On the other hand, it kind of frames straight people as the enemy, which I don't like. I don't know. It bugs me simply because straight people aren't an enemy exactly. Maybe I'm too accepting. I don't know. I have people in the community, people tell me I'm too accepting, but I'm like, you can't. I mean, what if you don't know? Like, people spend their whole lives thinking they're straight, and yes, they don't quite fit into that world, and yes, they will naturally gravitate toward the externals of the world. I'm a prime example. I was the token straight friend until I realized I was freaking lying to myself. But, you know, it isn't... It isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, the crash speed dating night is kind of shitty, but you kind of understand where your space is an ally, but it's not... Framing it that way is it's making me a little uncomfortable, basically, as someone who doesn't... I don't know. I might be completely off base, but it's an interesting setup, and I certainly understand their gentrification wars and the pricing out of gay spaces do tend to get they tend to get erased from you know, as that. Oh, Neon City 2099. Now, okay, so this one is Jamila Nejati. Okay, so this one, I think some of them have... So, okay. The Galaxy doesn't. Dominique Dickey. Starcross Galaxy doesn't. It's interesting. So, I think some of the ones probably submitted by people other than the main authors get let's see. Interesting. Okay, also, I do need feedback from, well, if anyone watching. If not, that's fine. I don't, expect you to watch every stream. It's just, it's nice to get feedback, Like, do you want to keep going with this? Am I, is it too much? Do you want something else? In a world that never sees the sun, neon lights cut through the hearts and souls of revolutionaries. In pouring rain, light cycles race through narrow alleys chasing down fragile hope. Can we honor fallen comrades and tear down the megacorp? Will we free the city from greed and corruption? No. Those are inherently human traits. You will never try that. You can try. When the avatars are activated and systems of power are hacked, neon swords come to life. Neon cities are dangerous and people are driven to desperation. Illegal street races blend the virtual and the real. Obsolete war droids are enslaved by fight clubs. But bustling black markets full of friendly vendors, hollow tattoo parlors give you a new face when you're outrunning the authorities. In Neon City, it's easy to get in over your head, but it's just as easy to find a flirty new friend. Bleed neon and cool. When the acid rain bleeds neon onto the streets, do we find shelter in each other's arms? When changing your body is only as hard as getting the creds, how do you express your heart and transcend humanity? When your avatar comes to life, how does the augmented world reveal your hidden desires? Wow. Okay. This seems fun. Build a revolution on its people. You were radicalized by the cruelty of the megacorp, but you can't fight with righteous anger alone. A revolution is only as strong as its people, and winning the war will mean winning hearts. Help a struggling neighborhood sabotage the demolition drones that tear down their homes. Infiltrate a corp sector and free an executive who fell in love with you. Start up a Hackett Haven and build a mech that will pummel the megacorp. Neon City is megalopolis with buildings that stretch hundreds of stories up. The megacorp openly controls politics, authority, and all forms of power. Each executive owns a sector and has been gifted technology, professionals, and assets to bleed their territory dry. Once a neighborhood is brought to its knees, the megacorp builds over it, restructures itself, and salvages what's left. It's brutal, dehumanizing, and merciless. The megacorp sees people as commodities. Lives are traded by perceived value. Advertisement campaigns program the populace, and propaganda maintains compliance and obscures the truth. The megacorp is a machine that seeks to outlive us all. But we're here to break that machine. Forever. On the edges of the city, diverse communities live on what they can, scavenge, and build together. These communities are thousands of people strong, each with their own factions, cultures, and laws. People navigate social circles with grace and daring, cashing in debts and building networks of favors. The PCs can define a community or agree to come from different ones and build an underground together. Life on the fringes is about survival. Light up cycle gangs stare down the megacorp to protect their territory and each other. People are wary and resilient, each bearing the trauma inflicted by the megacorp. But people are also loving and full of hope, compassionate when their trust is earned. Salvaging and repurposing technology is the heart of the revolution. This could involve transferring a soul into a mechanical body to uncover secrets, helping an AI realize their pop idol dreams, or stealing megacorp augments to rebuild themselves. It could also mean creating the perfect date in a virtual reality and charming the cute private detective. Sure. As oppressive and cruel as the megacorp is, many support and uphold its injustices. They fight for scraps, seek to get ahead, and serve as lackeys. They're content to perpetuate cycles of use and abuse and are more dangerous and sinister than those who hold power. But they all hope for something better. Can you get past their fear to reveal the truth of their hearts? Maybe. Maybe. Certainly is an idea worth exploring. It's very similar to Cyberpunk Red, which we were gonna do possibly on Saturday. We'll have to see what people want to do. Infiltrated the entertainment complex of the megacorp. AIs are created to spread... Okay, the PCs have infiltrated the entertainment complex of the megacorp. AIs are created to spread propaganda by using emoticon amplification technology to manipulate the populace. Can the PCs help AIs discover love and free them of their shackles? Okay, but suppose they do figure out how to get these AIs to unlearn whatever they learned, or that's no guarantee that they'll be on your side. If people can side with Megacore, then AIs, even given their own free will, could side with Megacore. And if they do, they're more dangerous and more destructive than they were before because they have their own free will. I mean, that's assuming, okay, so people side with Megacore, probably a lot of them do it for very human reasons. They have needs and wants that, and AI wouldn't have that. But I think that would be a risk, wouldn't it? I don't know. Maybe I'm spitballing. Adventure ideas. Sophia Strawberry's concert draws in millions. Her digitalized likeness is on every advertising board and in every bedroom. Rumors say she's fallen in love with Isa Cannon, a hotshot light racer forced to run fixed races for the Megacorp. Can the PCs bring the two together and help love save them both? Ooh. It's the 50th annual Battle of the Bands, and all of Neon City will tune in. Promising musician warriors will flood the Netscape with music in this month-long competition, and they're putting everything on the line. Only one band can join the ranks of the few human bands licensed to perform. But at each band elimination, souls are harvested for new idol AIs that serve the Megacorp without question. And the PCs outperform and survive while saving everyone else from such a terrible fate. Dang. So, there's the question. If they're AIs, then why do they need souls? And if AIs are born with, there's got to be unlicensed performancing going on. Absolutely, you just have to find it. But here's the question. If AIs have souls, then are they AIs? Or are they brainwashed people? Like, there's a very distinct difference between a person's soul wrapped into a machine and then brainwashed into helping them, and a fully built, mechanical built up AI that has no conception of humanity at its core because it never was humanity. Like, it's everything they learn through secondhand, so they have no practical experience. There's a big difference there, and I think that certainly is not is worth exploring. Like, I want to know more about the soul transfer thing. Cerulean Sky was a digital idol scheduled for reformat. She escaped and was assimilated by an abandoned war rig from long ago conflict that created Neon City. Now she devastates the city, singing songs of pain while sowing destruction. Can the PCs convince the Mecha that they are the singing pilots she's been waiting for? Will their combined spirits summon the Void Sword that will protect the city? Okay, so basically, she was having a mental breakdown, escaped, and random... Okay, that's a metaphor for trauma if I ever saw one. Runaway revolution. The PCs are one of many tasks to plant seed of dissent, desire, and revolution. We can birth this revolution if we bring all of Neon City together. Megacorp will reclaim the edges of the city and has pledged to pave over those that live beyond corporate rule. Community leaders can't agree on what to do next, and reclaimers are on the way. Can the PCs fight back and bring communities together? What can they build to hold back the Megacorp? Cora Flynn and her Dancing Devils are the rising stars of Neon City's dangerous street races. They were colony warriors, but they revolted and claimed the streets of their own. Can the PCs convince them to fight back and recruit other light racers to the cause? Can they impress them with sword fights that take place on Light Cycle? Okay, to be fair, a motorcycle sword fight would be like the height of cool. I get that. Megacorp fears hostile corporate rescues and disruption to their systems and schedules. When the employee is brave enough to leave behind their life of monochrome servitude, they send out a signal and the PCs answer. The core security is extreme, with strong women and cute AIs manning huge mechs and weapon systems. Can the PCs fight and flirt their way into building a rebellion, one rescue at a time? See, I feel like Megacorp would employ men. I mean, the PCs might be hesitant to, but I feel like there definitely are some guys manning the AIs because presumably they exist in the future. Neon noir lights. This is something I could argue about the community and the way the exclusionary nature and how it's not actually that harmful per se, and I understand where it comes from, and it's a very different vibe, but it's also PCs have set up a detective agency in a sector that never stops raining. They help the disenfranchised and offer special services to fight for those who can't. Can they stay one step ahead of Megacorp lackeys while solving cases and capturing hearts? A hacker shows up, bloody and bruised, her memory disk wiped clean. One of the PCs barely recognizes her before having their own memory of the relationship wiped in an instant. Who is she and what did she get caught up with? And who can do mind wipes remotely? Because if you want to know who can do mind wipes remotely, that's terrifying bullshit. All right. An executive in secret contact calls the agency, her voice desperate and pleading. The hollow call is abruptly cut off. When the PCs arrive, they find her body, but her soul node is missing. Where has she been downloaded to? Why are numerous androids holding corrupted fragments of her soul? Okay, probably a backup plan to avoid corporate. Here's an interesting question, though. Do you get your soul, removed and put into a soul node? And is it, done when you're born? So having it not done is, a complicated BS in and of itself? Is it illegal not to? That's a thing? Or is it just when you get to executive level, you get to have your soul in a node so that you can basically be immortal, and then she was being freaking, I don't even know. But I feel like there's a lot with souls that they're not quite explaining, and I want more deets on this. See, an android arrives claiming to house the soul of a former lover. They were once a detective of the agency, but disappeared, chasing down a dangerous case. They say they were murdered, but can't remember who did it and how. They only know that the murderer has stolen a black box full of Megacorp secrets. Okay. And claiming to, which means that she might not be a former lover. They might just, or they might not be a former lover, and they freaking have, okay, so the lover, there's this amnesic lover who might not actually be their lover, and how would anyone know? Can you verify? Ooh, okay, let's see what we got. Quella Canto. Quella brought together communities and made them agree to a code of protection and mutual support. She ensures folks are healthy and their augments are cared for. Oh, the extra. Once Megacorp's most powerful executive, Quella is careful with her past as with her heart. She dresses in ragged silks that complement her dark complexion and wears honey rain perfume. Her sword is an elegant vibroblade that sings against the air and cuts steel. Okay, she sounds sexy. Then you got, will Quella allow the PCs to help her and her communities? Will she stand in the way of rebellion, choosing safety instead? The Fixer, Zer. The Fixer is a mysterious figure who hides her features behind flashing emoticon masks and layers of neon avatars. Their synthetic voice changes between conversations from a cutesy Japanese accent all the way to a creepy Gregorian choir. The Fixer can get anything that anyone needs as long as they're willing to pay the price, sometimes a hot date. The Fixer's sword is comically large and impossible for most to carry, its neon blade shining bright pink, blue, and white. With every slash, she releases a torrent of hollow emojis, overwhelming her opponent. When the Fixer's past catches up with her, how will it compromise the PCs? When the Fixer finally reveals her true identity, will one or more of the PCs recognize her as a former lover? Of course they're former lovers. I mean, I'm not... Ooh. The Champion. Champion once had a name, but it was lost in the years spent battling in hollow arenas. She is the most powerful gladiator of her generation, her body made up of the augments and machinery of those too weak to stand against her. She secretly loves the trashiest vid novels, especially those featuring hot detective ladies and daring rebels. Her sword's hilt is the last champion's biomech hand. Its blade is electric neon lightning bright enough to fill an entire stadium. Can the champion break the shackles of Megacorp? Will she find love she's always dreamed of, or will one of the PCs break her fragile heart? Oh. Mistress Anderson, Mistress, okay. The Mistress pulls all the strings from the shadows, creating puppet executives and grooming. Oh, this is for Megacorp. The Mistress Anderson. creating puppets, executives, and grooming politicians to be her trembling pets. Dressed in chrome bondage and thick red ropes accentuating her generous curves and lavender skin, they have the beauty of a Venus flytrap. The mistress watches the PCs eagerly, collecting every bit of surveillance footage in Netscape trace. She secretly writes trashy vid novels about rebels crushing the Megacorps, her heart yearning to be dominated by a rebel. The mistress prefers to use a sword whip, its tiny blades humming ozone and leaking pink acid. Ugh. How long can Mistress Anderson hold to cold power before giving into the warm fire of rebellion? When the mistress is ordered to take on a new form more pleasing to the Megacorps, will PCs help her see her true beauty? Ooh, so this is high up, but not the highest up. Who's the highest up, I wonder? Who is at the top? Is it at the top, or is it just... Is it like... Oh, sabotage. Okay. Doesn't do pronouns. Fair. Oh, wow, though. So Mistress Anderson... So who's at the very top? Is it the board? And who's on the board? Or is the board just conglomerate AI and there is no board, no... And there's just orders coming down from a conglomeration of... That would be the most terrifying, I think. Like, there is no one in charge. It's just our collective human need. Oh, wow. Okay, that would be the creepiest. There is no... It's just a computer... That would be interesting. Sabotage was once many different androids. An entire battalion ran away from a war fought on distant planets, refusing to use what little time they had in manufactured bodies to fight for the Megacorps. The androids escaped and downloaded themselves into the sentient space cruiser and crash-landed near Neuron City. From the wreckage, a new body was built. The AIs joined together as one being known as Sabotage. Sabotage is determined to destroy the Megacorps, no matter the cost. Sabotage bears a sword made from fallen comrades, a perpetual reminder of steel and neon that vengeance is the answer. Well, here's a question. How fallen can you be if soul nodes can be downloaded? Like, if you can swap bodies, how fallen can you be? Or is there a point of destruction beyond which you cannot salvage the soul? And if so, is that... which brings us back to the soul node of the executive, who's there... Like, is it... If you're broke bitch and you don't have money, do you just get... You can't get downloaded, so you're just dead? Or, you know... Like, what's the deal with that? Sabotage resents the inconvenient emotions and yearning inside, blaming flawed code. To conclusively prove that love is not important, Sabotage will grudgingly try dating. Okay. When Sabotage set aside vengeance and fall in love, when Sabotage is overwhelmed by the trauma of the war, how will the PCs help? Ooh, that's an interesting question. Calyx Tenju. She, her. Calyx is the fiercest Cycle Blade and fights all who would dare dethrone her. She will take down every Cycle Blade that works for Megacorps, no matter the toll on her body and soul. She switches bodies after every race, burning through them as her memories slowly fade. Soon there will be nothing left but her burning passion to crush the competition unless she learns that kissing on a light cycle running at high speed is glorious. Somehow I doubt love can fix the... Void Blank Fencing Sword bleeds holographic starlight and white hollow roses. Okay, that's kind of cool. Will any of the PCs win Calyx's runaway heart? When Calyx is defeated by Megacorp's ruthless android driver, how will the PCs convince the two rivals to open their hearts to each other? Example names, custom rules. When creating your character, decide how the Megacorps wronged you. How did this radicalize you? Why is revolution the only answer? Well, because Megacorps is freaking killing everyone. Is the and it might not be, but it's very obvious why it's why it's a good idea. When you investigate a scene or object, activate your vid scanners and enter the Netscape. Roll a plus wit or plus heart. 10 or more, you get to ask 2. 17, you get to ask 2, but may not like the answer to one of them. What doesn't add up here? What locations in the city show evidence of a pattern? Who left behind something they shouldn't have? What rumors have surfaced on the Netscape about this? Which contact interrupts my investigation to give me a solid lead? Okay, the rumors. So I guess if you get false rumors that are actually useless, or the locations show a pattern that isn't. Okay, so half the information is useless, and you got to figure out which half. And I know it's uncouth to scratch my boob on camera, but it's really itchy. Three Orders of Ardor. Whitney Delaglio. Whitney Delaglio. Okay, I get... It is... Hi, bees! Welcome, welcome. We were just going over some of the, other settings for not Warhammer 40k, for Thirsty Sword Lesbians. You are always welcome, and you are never too late. You arrive precisely when you mean to. Like you arrived just in time to hear about the Three Orders of Ardor. This one's interesting. Play as sex workers and exotic dancers who are also holy warriors. They wear their battle scars with pride, and clothing removal is their metaphor for safe vulnerability. Sex work has not only been legalized, but is considered a sacred profession. Please note that sexual activity is obviously sensitive subject matter. Players are in no way obligated to roleplay sex. Feel free to fade to black, or whatever table as a whole is comfortable with. Should never be used to harm another character. Obviously, if that's the point, of course you... Ladies, not only does the Order can and will only put out when they choose to. It is always their right to choose and the right to change their mind. Exotic dancing is like a prayer. Sex, sensuality, cuddling are spiritual connection. Okay. The orders are not at odds. The three mothers met often to talk about the pride of their daughters and how to better serve their goddess and citizens of Ardor. The three orders accommodate each other and help their fellow comrades when they are in need of assistance. This also means praying for and connecting with each other. Glaives instead of swords. The Order prefers staff weapons, which also serve as dance poles when one isn't readily available. The Order of Artisans provides forges that cater to the needs of each warrior, where their armor, weapon, and footwear are fashioned. Because each warrior is given their own glaive, they are often decorated with personalized embellishments. Aww. Ardor is a vibrant kingdom of craftsmen, performative artists, smiths, and renowned temples of worship. The kingdom is ruled by Grand Mother, a snow owl folk, and the mother of each of the three orders. The Order of Searing Embers communes with the local populace and offers wartime prayers. The Order of the Artisans, a collective of craftswomen, armorsmiths, and weaponsmiths. The Order of the Figurehead communes with maritime voyagers and those that don't have access to the mainland during their travels. The kingdom worships the goddess of the hearth, who represents warmth, lust, and compassion. Her sigil is a censer with a cone of charcoal and wisps of smoke above it. With her personal guard, the grandmother travels to nearby villages. I mean, this one in particular, yes, it is I can... Sorry. Oh, here, let me do it this way so I can actually bop this over a smidge. Yeah, there we go. Now I can read chat and read this at the same time. The nearby villages that had been shamed for their carnal desires and accused of being hostile, despite being no more or less warlike than any other species, and invited them to a ritualistic celebration in a gesture of friendship. What followed was a season of dancing, indulgence, and guttural singing. The grandmother vowed that under her wings, both figuratively and literally, they would always have a sister at their side, and they would never feel ashamed again. That is when she reached face to face the other half of herself. The bitter, vindictive, brings matter into her own hands, half of herself. What had once been a small settlement was now its own realm. Allies and distinguished members of society came to attend her coronation, but skirmishes soon followed amongst their adversaries. Cannons fire from an unallied kingdom claimed the grandmother's wife. Ooh, okay. Dang. Alone, she went into the Cavern of Thorns, and no one asked questions when she emerged splattered with blood that was not hers. She had separated from her other half within the cavern, and only one of them had come back. Those that had survived the battle flocked to the grandmother's side to be a glacier as she mourned, But after the burial songs had been sung, her focus was on guest rooms and instrumental accompaniment to pole prayers. She takes it upon herself to make sure the temples of worship and dance stages are well maintained. While taking flights over her domain, she visits the villages further from the mainland to make sure that their populations feel safe. Those close to her worry that she busies herself with this way because it distracts her from her grief. She left her twin, the godmother, behind, who wailed and lamented alone in the cavern. Cheek streaked with frozen tears, the grandmother's other half gathered those in the alliance and beyond the lands of ardor that shared her ideals, tooth for tooth, and that their enemies will fall by their teeth or by their blade. The grandmother's palace resides in a grotto which leads to open water and the sea, vast sea of ice and snow. The populace of her kingdom consists of orcs and humanoids with features of cold climate predators. Other than ships, swimming, and going on foot, the most common form of transportation are snow sharks because they can plow through ice, Arctic crocs because they can move easily through deep snow. Because revealing outfits would put them in danger on the battlefield, the holy warriors of Ardor instead wear bespoke soft armor designed with a minimal amount of hard armor for greater mobility and to ensure they still have points of contact while on the pole. While they do wear some metal plating, it's mostly pliable chainmail with lightly padded armor. Not only for the reasons of ceremonial disrobing, that they make sure the move of the armor they forge is uncomplicated, so it's easier for others to administer first aid. During formal religious ceremonies, they wear a surcoat. Wire sword wielders that thirst for fellow lesbians or an ardor should be decided together as a group. PC should be there to celebrate a holy holiday like the Festival of the Intertwined. It's one of the most beloved celebrations of the year, a week of cuddling and comfort. You can be an ardor for other reasons, such as being a member of an order, in search of an introduction with an order, here to participate in a pilgrimage, or here for a visit. A stranded egg. The PCs have gotten word that 3 orders have been tasked with dealing with an egg found on a deserted iceberg off the mainland. Ooh. The Order of Searing Embers has a vision about that the hatched creature will raise ardor without the comfort of parental solace. Whatever creature laid the egg is nowhere to be found. The Order is asking for help raising the creature in a supportive environment. Keep the kid from going off the rails. Okay. Whatever this kid turns out to be. Maybe a white dragon. Which is, also your child. So you gotta raise them up right, and hopefully they won't be evil. That could be fun. An interesting look into the... The Order of Artisans has seen the egg on a coat of arms belonging to a neighboring orc village. Lucinda, an Arctic wolf folk and a member of the Order, wants to lead a party to ask them the heritage of the egg, and not just because she's in lust with the village leader. Okay, sure. A peaceful pilgrimage is on their way to witness whatever may hatch from it, but there are pirates close by that see golden opportunity in a shell. The Order of the Figurehead is asking for reinforcements that protect both the pilgrims and the unborn creature. Okay. PCs have come to realize holy warriors aren't the best for asking help with personal dilemmas. Oh, okay. This one's, completely off. Okay. Piero, a snow shark folk and a member of the Order of Searing Embers, has been courting the palace's appointed emissary, Galena. She has a romantic evening planned, but she's nervous about their date because she's not the best at expressing her feelings. Zahi, an orc member of the Order of the Figurehead, is making an expedition to a frozen shipwreck out at sea, bringing bottles of flavored syrup and a pipa because it's her custom to leave the deceased sweetened snow and a song. She doesn't want to go alone this time. Oh. The mother of the 3 orders haven't prayed or sought comfort ever since the grandmother's twin persuaded some of their daughters to join her side. They're disheartened because they lost ranks, loved ones, and some of their best artisans. Okay. Let's see what we got. Felix, a mountain lion folk and a member of the Order of the Searing Embers. Felix was once a nomadic leader who made her living beyond the borders of the kingdom in search of rare medicinals that thrived in nearby lava lakes. She felt such an intense connection during sex that the goddess of the hearth called to her, so she became a citizen of Ardor. Her studded armor looks like it's been volcanically charred. The pole of her glaive is covered in bite marks of warriors she's had sex with, and the blade looks like molten rock split into a sharp edge. I probably should have mentioned, I didn't realize how racy this one gets. The other ones are pretty tame, but this is okay. I feel like it's too late to put the 18 plus warning, but if any of you are under 18 or are uncomfortable with sex, I get it. Just I won't hold it against you if you leave the stream because you're uncomfortable. Like, this is frank talk right now. And remember, don't try this at home. This is between consenting adults. If you're not a consenting adult, don't do it. And you're not with another consenting adult. That's an important, The blade looks like a molten... Well, I guess you can go by yourself, but you can't be with someone else if they're not a consenting adult. Yeah, that works. When on the field of battle, she brings scaly foot snails. She's trained to cauterize wounds. Interesting. Her methods are unconventional. Many warriors have entrusted her with their lives. Cauterizing snails. Okay. Hamabi, an Orca folk and member of the Order of Artisans, Hamabi started her career as an apprentice for a cobbler who was often swamped with pole dance heel repairs. Her prominent contribution to the kingdom is design of shoes and boots with buckled platform heels so warriors could remove them to fight in sensible flats. That's kind of cool, actually. She's thinking. Instead of a glaive, she owns a pair of gilded balisongs she keeps in her boots. In her spare time... Okay, wait, she's an Orca folk. How the heck does she have feet? That's an interesting question of, biology. How feet? Because wouldn't that interfere with the swimming? And okay, she can't breathe underwater. Orca can't because they're way out mammals. They breathe air, but are aquatic creatures that breathe air. But does she have the aquatic capabilities of regular old orcas, or is she just how orca-like is she? Clearly she's got feet and hands, so clearly she can't be that orca-like, but also how close is she to the water? Can she swim for long distances? And what the heck are balisongs? I need to actually look this up, if that is a thing. Oh, a butterfly. It's a fancy term for a butterfly knife. Okay. Okay, good to know. I did not know that, and now we do. Balisong. Little sister of... Ooh, someone's a little sister. Oh, the little sister of the grandmother's late wife. She aids in preparing for war if an unallied kingdom should strike again. With the help of her apprentices, she hosts bake sales for raw materials and emergency funds. Aw. That's cool. Vika, she/her, a leopard seal folk and member of the Order of the Figurehead. She's one of the most illustrious warriors and one of the best dancers in the Order. Her armor is dewy sea blue with gold inlay. A string of snow sharks and Arctic croc teeth wrap around where her pearlescent pole and glass-like blade meet. There is scar tissue on her chest from when a narcissistic commodore broke her heart. But she is loving relationship with two orcs. She met them while she was stranded during a snowstorm and stumbled upon their outpost. Okay, I feel like broke her heart. Is it literal? Is that literal or metaphorical? I do not know. Kalyani, an Arctic croc folk, and a member of the grandmother's personal guard. Personal guard's uniform differs from the three orders in that they wear a crinoline cage over their protection. Her armor is pyrographed with a motif of flowers that grow within the kingdom. Because she's not a woman of prayer, instead of the glaive, she has a meteor hammer that also serves as a censer. She does not partake in sex, so she's essentially pampered while being cuddled. Okay, she's ace. That's a vibe. She's one of the most acclaimed singers in the kingdom. The palace commissioned a temple with the finest acoustics so her voice would fill frozen halls with song. Okay, that's kind of cool. So here's the question, though. If the Arctic croc folk are people, and I think the shark folk are people too, what are the transportation? Like, they have these creatures for transportation, but they also have, like, humanoid versions? I mean, this is confusing. I think this is a furry... I'm not saying it's bad necessarily, but it's confusing. Custom move, Staying the Frost. This move replaces entice and emotional support because it combines the two. Both intimacy and exotic dancing are part of what you do for a living, so you have both on lock. This could be you praying to the goddess of the hearth by pole dancing on behalf of a comrade. It could be one lawyer opening up to another while sitting next to a crackling fire. It could be you dancing for a crowd. Roll plus heart or plus spirit. And if you're smitten with them, add 3. Ooh. If you get a 10 or more, both of you can choose one from each list. And if you get 7 through 9, they get to choose from one from each list. Get lost in the moment, give in to desire. The goddess gives you a task. So you get to mark XP, clear a condition, or get a +1. If they're smitten with you, they may choose an additional option from either list. When you're in the with another sword wielder, you can use this move, with both players consenting, during several situations such as having sex, cuddling, or while bonding during a quest. As you breathe in, your chest glows. Say something that troubles you or scares you. As you breathe out, a gentle flame, say why you're not troubled or afraid when you're at their side. Each of you gain a string on each other. Oh, wow. That's intense and amazing. It's Le Ville Dangereux. Oh, my dear, I could give you no better gift than my weapon buried deeply within the heart of those who would dare to subdue you. Violet Honey Blues by the Philharmonic Galaxy. Dang. Okay, we're taking I've read over the Violette Dangereux before. I actually created a character called Ainsley. They were the captain of a ship on this thing. Point on all of this is that the there was a point. There was a point. Yes, the Violette Dangereux. Yeah, it's a point of it's not as racy. So you guys, anyone who left can come back. I don't know if you want to, but this one is chill and not as racy. I promise. It is interesting though. I don't. It's already 2:30. Okay, I'm gonna have to end by 3 so I can have time to get ready for work. But Le Violette Dangereux. Down a glass of champagne, steal a Zeppelin, and turn up the heat in an after-hours club while you swap poetry and dissidence as a member of Les Violents Dangereux, a group of revolutionary artists who gave meaning to the pen is mightier than the sword. Long ago, the barons of industry seized control of the planet's resources and dug deep into the earth, fracturing it beyond repair. When the world could not sustain them, they fled to the sky in giant floating city-states. The conglomerate isles of Apollos see over each city-state and the workers who toil beneath them, quite literally. In New Frisia, where Art Deco skyscrapers blend into pristine manicured landscapes, the wealthy throw lavish parties in mahogany ballrooms tethered to moss-covered zeppelins. Hot jazz spills down into the atmosphere where the working class dreams of freedom and conjures up a culture of resistance. The worst vision of an army of dead poets that can conjure words into weapons. Their only calling card? A bouquet of black violets. The barons of industry have their days numbered and everyone knows it. Ooh, okay. The city of New Frisia is ripe for a change. Though the people may toil in factories and mines, make the fuel that powers the world, they won't for long. For those who consistently suffer injustice, what is it like to tell a story where the oppressed actually win? Can your characters put the people before themselves to build a society for all? The Violette Dangereux is a setting where the characters may not live to see freedom, but the words they leave behind will be the ingredients to start a successful revolution. Joy and creativity as resistance. Thirsty Sword Lesbians often uses joy and creativity as active resistance to create evocative stories where people are centered and relationships are nurtured. Creating art, laughing, being sexy, finding companionship, writing poetry, singing songs, and dancing are all vital ways to resist oppressive society that drains you and makes you forget your worth. From the poetry used to conjure up the blades of Le Violette Dangereux to the explicit melodies of Sweet Duchess Sugar, sharing your journey through performance or art can sustain a movement. When your character is flagging and feels like they can't go on, take a cue from the blues, make a song about it, and sing it to the patrons of an after-hour club where the drinks are strong and the company's enraptured. Need to get the workers to pick up their pickaxes and fight back? Write a poem and have it passed out on broadsides. Need to heal your heart after big battles lost? Dance slow and serpentine, press cheek to cheek. Players should be rewarded for creating moments of joy in bleak circumstances and using their creative expression and joy to survive whatever the Olympian society can throw at them. 20th century steampunk for a 21st century mindset. The conglomerate Isle of Apollo Island are chained to the ruins of an extinct society by a history of colonialism, ecological collapse, and unchecked wealth. Just as steampunk investigates fantastical science through pseudo-Victorian industrial mindset, steampunk explores that from a non-white perspective. Explore the complicated status and histories of floating islands to create your own jazz age narrative. Want to add your own cultural flair to an island? Have a tradition you want to encompass? Surely there's an island to build, flesh out, and liberate. Play this module to infuse your hopes, experience, and needs into your play. The conglomerate Isle of Apollo consists of a dozen large floating cities that are chained to the remains of a dying mining planet where wealth always trickles up, never down. Each city holds the estates of the barons of industry, families who rule the island in a tense oligarchy. Anchored with large titanium chains, they shake and rattle in the thick, polluted atmosphere. The city-states are shackled to the factories and industries they own. Beneath islands where crystal goblets are never empty of champagne is the below, a labyrinth city of smokestacks and crumbling housing on scorched land. Once rumored to be a lush, verdant paradise, the below is now home only to most of those who supply the fuel, luxuries, and labor for the barons and their families. The citizens below are essentially serfs, bought and traded between cities and barons. The only way to break out of the system is by buying your way out, and it doesn't come cheap to one's pocket or soul. Only recently has anything changed. In an uprising at Minerva Point on New Frisia, words became real weapons. A literary salon known as Le Ville Dangereux were sentenced to life in service in the metal mines of Baron Lipford Randall. Their crime? Writing seditious poetry and disturbing it to the masses by throwing it off the sides of airships and turning it into a song. When the time came for the arrest they fought back, pulling swords made from poetry out of their chests. They beat back the Baron's security forces and escaped in a dramatic fight. Rumors of assassins with swords conjured from words themselves stalk the Baron's ever-waking thought. A good night's sleep in his marbled mansion is hard to come by. In the underground gambling and jazz joints where the factory workers, miners, petty criminals, and middle-class culture hounds meet, everyday folks get together to get happy. Clubs like the Sugar Bowl are where the PCs can pull off their uniforms and overalls, kick up their heels, rouge their knees, and listen to the sweet sounds of Duchess Sugar, or watch the titillatingly dangerous sword dances of Bertie Lou. Or maybe the PCs would like to try their hands at a pearl-handled, pistol-toting members of a Zeppelin, ferrying the elite from island to island, or workers such as servants or caretakers. The Inter-City Union of Zeppelin Workers controls the sky, much to the annoyance of the barons who have no other means of transportation. Explore the floating isles where extreme wealth leads to extreme appetites. Try to sow the seeds of liberation through art. Join the mysterious members of the Ville Dangereux and leave your calling card so they understand what goes up must surely come down. Wow. The Clouded Cruise Caper. The PCs infiltrate the crew hired to work a 30-day cloud cruise around the islands on the Christiana, a new all-aluminum paneled Zeppelin owned by one of the wealthiest barons, Thierry Randolph Peters. During the dinner, the PCs overhear plans to dismantle the Inter-City Union of Zeppelin Workers from the inside. Among the chief co-conspirators is Slapjack Stonemason, the current president of IUZW. Can they get more information about completely blowing their cover? While on shore leave, the PCs have a wild night on a floating juke joint. Duels are fought, kisses are exchanged, and what little baron bills they have are safely tucked in every garter, bra, and suit pocket of their hosts. By the time the PCs rouse themselves, their ship has already sailed. Can they still beg or borrow another before someone notices they're gone? That'd be fun. Rise of a City-State. The new propaganda film by elite director G.Q. MacArthur is premiering on the Zeppelin after a grand ball. If they can attend the premiere, the PCs can write a scathing critique before it reaches the below. The PCs receive a note of solidarity and a promise of tickets when they meet the sender in the orangerie and help them with if they meet the sender in the orangerie and help them with a problem. When they meet the mysterious sender, it's Yvette Randolph Peters, the daughter of Thierry Randolph Peters. Can they trust her, or will her pretty smile be their downfall? Maybe. Bread and violets. The overworked PCs are charged with giving hope and supplies to workers in impoverished city-states whose barons have chosen to pay the workers a fair wage. Can they supply the city without burning themselves out? PCs arrive in the city-state and find it unlike any they've visited before. They have to learn the culture and customs before they can even remotely begin their work. Miscommunications and egos flare, and uneasy duels and passions paint them as elitist. Unnecessary duels and passions paint them as elitists. Use this time to explore the PC's motivation for liberation and the work they do. Can they humble themselves and listen to what the people want, or will they fracture themselves further? In a crucial fight against rival baronial enforcers, the PC all fail to draw their swords out of themselves and are forced to flee. While nursing their wounds in a safe house, they realize they're burned out and can't use their swords until they recharge themselves physically and mentally. Use this time to explore the interpersonal relationships between the PCs and their motivations. Encourage delving into their backstories and telling short flashback scenes that encourage players to heal rifts between each other and recognize that they deserve the same joy they attempt to bring to others. Consider having the PCs remember why their medium allowed them to draw their weapons in the first place, and allow them to create more elaborate and powerful swords based on their new insights. The people of the city-state have decided that fair wages aren't enough. They want to collectively rule the city-state and overthrow the baronial family at the center. The baron invites leaders of his crumbling estate to a summit, but when the PCs and leaders arrive, the estate is abandoned and all signs point to foul play. The conglomerate Isles of Apollo blame the deteriorates on the people and the Violets, and are sending Dragoon of Zeppelins to regain the city-state. Can the PCs find the baronial family, clear their names, secure the first collective around the city-state against forces of conglomerate Isles of Apollo? Well, hotheads and cold blues. The PCs finally get some downtime in their hometown of New Frisia. Also, if you guys want me to stop reading or focus more on one thing or another, say so. I'm reading this out because it's interesting and I want to share it with you guys, but, feedback is helpful. If you can. No pressure. Can they lay low while taking a break, or will their over-the-top passions, petty affairs, and deep love of a good time bring too much attention? The PCs all attend a dance night at the Sugar Bowl, Duchess Sugar's nightclub and gambling spot. Unfortunately, the PC's most troublesome exes are also in attendance, each with a different grudge. Kisses are exchanged, drinks fly, and flirting is everywhere. Can the PCs cool their tensions and affairs, or will the messy entanglements leave the Sugar Bowl worse for wear? Bertie Lou, dancer, sex worker, swords babe, and incomparable flirt, has some intel for the Violets. There's a shipment of valuable fuel being loaded at Duchamp Estate's air dock, and it's ripe for the picking. She and her dance company are performing for Baron Duchamp's daughter Mercedes' birthday party. All the Violets have to do is pose as dancers and stay behind after the performance to steal the cargo. Unfortunately, lovelorn Mercedes has taken a shine to one of the PCs and refuses to let them out of her sight. Can the PCs distract the birthday girl and steal the cargo? After a night of living it up, the PCs are nursing their hangovers when Jay Zwick sends a messenger to tell them to head down to the shop immediately. When they arrive, a new person is at the counter, chatting amicably to the baronial enforcers searching the shop. Reading like Jay themselves, they hand the PCs their book order and tell them they are obviously occupied. When the Violets open the package, they find the book that the books are heavily detailed maps of mythical floating island with the singular note: "It's time. Meet me at the end of the rainbow." Can the PCs follow Jay's clues to the extraordinary discovery? Then Mercedes Irene Duchamp, she questioning, a young heiress to the baronial Duchamp Empire. Her luminous face, demure demeanor, and bright violet eyes have made her a major catch for leaders and heirs of the baronial class since she was presented to society. Lately, though, Mercedes has been less demure and more outspoken against her family's control. She's been rumored to have been spotted in popular dives in the below and is even taken to dueling for kicks. A competent swordswoman, she carries her mother's golden Damascus steel rapier, Milady, on her hip whenever she goes, and tends to have no problems fending off both potential suitors and opponents. It is for this reason that her parents have chosen to marry off as quickly as possible the first baron who can defeat her. Mercedes is struggling to find her identity in a world where she is suffocating. Can she help the PCs infiltrate the baronial class, or will she choose a comfortable life over her growing discomfort with her identity and the system? Ooh, okay. Young heiress. Jay Zwick, they, them, she, her. The only bookseller in the below, and the go-to person if you want to find the perfect book to soothe your soul and gain some sweet intel. With fine features set in a rich, fawn-colored face, their dark doe eyes hide a shrewd intelligence that only come from having access to the largest collection of knowledge outside baronial control. Jay Zwick is the owner of Zwick's Books and Curiosities. Their family's owned it for as long as they can remember. In fact, the PCs think about it, Jay doesn't look any different than the other Jay Wicks who have owned the store for generations. I think that is the Jay Wick. I'm pretty sure that's them. She's gorgeous. Lovely. Okay. She doesn't seem to carry any weapons about their person, nor do they seem particularly put off by being the only unarmed person in a fight. PCs know that Jay Wick is a great lover of rare books and more willing to buy off any the PCs might just happen to come across. When the PCs need intel, their best bet is to go to Jay's shop. Jay often has a few tasks for them to complete as well. Does she greet them warmly, or are they an annoyance? Is Jay's unchanging appearance and lack of weapon a cause for concern? Maybe. Yes, there's the International Union of Zeppelin Workers. The union, Ainsley's ship has a IUZW stamp on it. With waist length, mousy brown hair, oil-stained coveralls, and no-nonsense face filled with pretty freckles, Bet Riveter is one of the higher-ups in the IUZW, the only second only to the outwardly corrupt Slapjack Stonemason. Bet is from a long line of riveters who built some of the first Zeppelins. Captain of the IUZW registered ship the Hot Stomp, she's trusted to deliver some of the most sensitive cargo for the Barons, all while attempting to further the IUZW's cause of fair pay for all workers in the Conglomerate Isles. Bet's weapon of choice is a steel mallet the size of her own body, named Jenny Don't Miss, affectionately named after her grandmother Jenny, who did not, in fact, ever miss a swing. Betty Riveter believes the proper way of going forward is to follow the process of the Baronial Empire, no matter how arcane and slow they may be. Does she butt head with the PCs? Are there a few who secretly believe Bet's way is correct? What happens when the PCs get in the way of her agenda? There's Duchess Sugar, they, them. The entertainer du jour, flexible, bubbly, and with a long list of former lovers that fall on every spectrum imaginable, Duchess Sugar is a sepia cutie who wields more power than you'd think. Whether clad in their signature white tuxedo and blonde slicked back hair, or a cut out gown that leaves nothing to the imagination, Duchess isn't afraid to be themselves and serve themselves. As a dual wielder, Duchess carries a jeweled ice pick sheathed beneath their breasts and a slim rapier with a ruby hilt on their hip. The elite visit the Sugar Bowl just as much as any Violette, and the PCs know they need to be careful not to mix up which knights are which. What no one knows is whether Duchess is playing both sides for their own gain or is genuinely invested in changes they claim to be. I think that might be Duchess Sugar themselves. Gorgeous. Sorry. And then, of course, there's Filmonia Nebula, Fay Fair. One of the most legendary members of the Violette Dangereux. It was the lavender-haired Philomena who first pulled a sword from within Fay's self, grasping the hilt of Restless Blues, and slowly pulling the pulsing longsword made of tempered sorrow out of Fair Heart, as Fay belted out Fair's sorrows and hopes on stage at the Sugar Bowl nearly 6 years ago. Constant heartbreak, suppression, and loss of fair lover has left Femme in dire straits. Fay haven't been able to conjure the legendary Restless Blues in over a year. Growing bitter by the day, the once inspirational Philomena feels like Fay can't take a break, and Fair Darkest Moments wonders if all the Violette's work is for naught. Philomena Nebula's voice is flagging due to overwork and low spirits, which makes Femme ripe for a number of issues. When the PCs lose their way, can Philomena help them turn their defeats into glory and find for herself along the way? Maybe. Frida Galaxy, she, her. An outspoken force of beauty and power, Frida has taken to the forefront in the Violette since Philomena has been unable to conjure a fair sword. She is stalwart and serious, and there is persistent rumor that Philomena's heartbreak lies in Frida rejecting fair affection. Ooh, rumors. With her gorgeous dark umber curves covered in brilliant sequin and fringe, Frida is a sight to behold as she speaks poetry to her people. Her poetry, so is this Frida Galaxy then, and not... maybe. Hard to know for sure. Sight to behold as she speaks poetry to her people. Her poetry, when spoken with passion, conjured sweet cosmos, a broadsword whose blade is etched with every poem she's ever made and will ever make, and a hilt made of oxblood leather like a finely made book. The PCs primarily take their orders from Frida, who tolerates very little room for error these days. Does she share the same vision for the future as the PCs? Can they put her on a pedestal she hasn't asked to be on? Have they put her on a pedestal she hasn't asked to be on? Some fun names for people. Words to steal. When a PC officially becomes a member of Le Violette Dangereux, they can turn art into an actual weapon. At the time of membership, the player should choose one type of medium from which they draw their power. From then on, whenever PCs wants to draw their sword, they have to describe or perform the medium they've chosen, and how it manifests into physical representation. Dorothy Galaxy opens her mouth to sing a lullaby she learned from her father as a child. It conjures from her heart a crystalline longsword that pulses with her words. Oh. Okay. And then, of course, there's the Usia Revolution. Okay. But it's pushing 3 o'clock. I didn't actually do any world building. I just read about shenanigans. I hope that's okay with you guys. Fridays are kind of a chill day. But I want to start Haven. I kind of want to start Haven. So Revolution. Oh, wow. The Empire. They're fighting against the Empire and trying to... Alright, so... And then Adventure... these are just a bunch of... Oh. And these are just not as much setting guides as interesting. Oh, retired magical girls. Castle Grayskull. Oh, Vanguard landed her spaceship to conquer your world. Some hail her as a liberator. The princess ruled over beautiful lands, but exiled anyone too different or too monstrous. You all arrive at Castle Grayskull for different reasons. Oh, okay, that's a angst. Okay, there's a lot of stuff going on with these. The adventures are kind of smaller chunks. Okay. Okay, there is a whole lot for UC Revolution that I kind of want to go into, but also we have to go. I have bed and I have to take a nap before work essentially, and all right. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put this on hold for now. I really appreciate you all coming. It's just a little bit of this and that. We're gonna go. Yeah, we're gonna raid. Let's see. We'll raid. Brush for Hire. We haven't raided him in a while. We'll raid Brush for Hire. Hang out. You can for a little. Always a good time. And generally, life is good. I appreciate all of you coming. And I hope to see you soon. Sooner rather than later. Ready? Okay, good. Now we just shut this down.